2015 to 17, I won't do a specific, mileage requirement. I am going to make sure that the condition report is at least a 4.0 or better. And we can set up any bid criteria that we want. So whatever book value you think is most important, and it may switch based on the inventory segment that you're looking at. But in this one, we're going to pay 5 on the back of MMR. So set up just a real general search. We can save that. And now we're going to be able to benchmark all those cars that cross the block in a way that we've really never been able to do before. Let's see how that actually works. So I'm going to show you a video coming up, and it's going to show you exactly this at play. But before we do, I want you to just take a look at this pause screen. So we're looking at what you're going to see in the video is 2015 Highlander, and it's going to roll through the block. It's going to be one that we hadn't had a chance to preview before, but it's going to do everything that I've asked it to. Search that year and make, only a car that's a 4.0 or better, and you're going to see what happens when it opens up less than we think the car should sell for. This is one of the hidden features for people who say, I want to make sure I don't miss anything online that I would typically be able to do with my feet on the ground at a sale, and Lane Monitor is here to make sure that happens. So let's listen to it. 103. All right, perfect. So yeah, even the auctioneer is asking us to pay attention. He knows that car was cheaper than it should have been. So MMR on that car was 22.5, I think 22 and a half, and it opened up significantly back of that, and then ended up getting sold. So, something that was previously, we could have only done by having a buyer on the ground, noticing value in each car that crosses. We're able to do that Lane Monitor. So, we got an engine rev just to let you know, hey, this is a 2015 Highlander that is within that range, condition report range that you asked for. And then we've got a cash register, and then also someone telling us what lane and number to pay attention to. So really powerful way to make sure we don't miss anything for simulcast buyers. So to recap, Lane Monitor allows you to scan every lane for specific inventory. You're going to be alerted when your targeted inventory is bid at any value threshold you set. And the value can be benchmarked on any book. I mentioned that, you may be different based on the search. If you're looking specifically for CPO inventory, or if you're looking for subprime inventory, obviously those books that you think about and the thresholds that you set are going to be, potentially very different. So you can do that regardless of inventory segment that you're trying to fill that day or week. I'm going to pause again briefly to see if you have any questions on that.
It doesn't think we currently have any questions, so I think we're good to move forward.
Sounds good. Strong silent type. I appreciate the audience that we have. So next one is static auctions. So best practice number 3, static auctions, and we're going to talk about how to install and use an auto refresh browser. Sounds intimidating. I promise you, it is not. So if anything has become abundantly clear to me over the last few years in this business is that people are being asked to do more with less. And it's not uncommon for managers to be asked to wear several hats, obviously, but sometimes that one additional hat can be buying cars for the dealership. And when buying cars for the dealership becomes just one of your other daily tasks, using auto refresh browsers and static auctions is an absolute must. So let's just look at what static auctions will provide, and one of the biggest frustrations. So if I just did a buy it now search and there were 1,200 cars there, it's almost impossible to get through with all the other things that you have to do, 1,200 cars, especially when you have to continue to go over those same cars, right? Did I look at this one? Do your research. Already looked at that one 5 minutes ago, and it becomes extremely frustrating. Installing an auto refresh browser is going to allow you to look at only the cars that have been added since the last time you accessed that list. You can set it, as fast as 5 seconds. You can also, jack it up to 15, 20 minutes, whatever you think is appropriate, whatever, frankly, your ADD can handle. I'm going to set this one for 10 minutes. And the next thing you're going to be able to do is when you access throughout the day, you open this up in a separate browser. I know a lot of you guys are probably using multiple screens at the dealership. You're going to be able to go into those saved searches periodically, in between desk and deals and doing all the other things that you're doing, and just look at, signified by those dark blue boxes, just look at the cars that have been added since the last time you viewed that list. Extremely powerful, and in a way to avoid having to work through, literally in that case, 1,000, 2,000, depending on the city you're in, multiple thousands of cars, down to a real manageable list on a daily basis. So, real simple best practice there for static auctions. Number one, let's leverage the already built buy it now searches that we're using. It's going to allow you to only review the freshest inventory. So really give you an edge when time is of the essence and you're asked to do a ton of stuff out there. And you're going to keep the Save Search browser open outside the platform. So that's something that you don't hear us say very often, or at least promote. And so making sure that you do that part of it and kind of walk through that sequence with your performance consultant would be, advisable, just to make sure that you do it properly. And you don't, those layouts can be kind of touchy at times, making sure that we don't mess up any of that stuff. So partner with your performance consultant and let's figure out a way to help you guys maximize the time that you do have. That one is certainly pretty straightforward, but I will pause 30 seconds or so and just see if anybody has any quick questions about auto refresh browsers and static auctions.
It looks like we are good to go. No questions at this time.
Okay. All right. So best practice number 4, proxy bidding. We have here just do it. It's kind of a joke, but it's really not. I mean, for most people, the last frontier of buying is proxy bidding. And trust me, I know all the concerns around it. I've heard more conspiracy theories around proxy bidding than probably the JFK assassination. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't try it, you'll never see some of the added benefits of what it can bring to the table. So I'll ask you a question. Have you ever bid at an auction where you paid too much for a car? I should pause for that question, but I'm not, because if you're honest with yourself and hopefully with me, I know you have. I certainly have. In fact, even the most disciplined buyers out there sometimes can't avoid raising his or her hand just one more time, or just 2 more times, or 3. And why is that? I mean, I will tell you how I used to rationalize it. I tell myself, well, I don't really need to spend $1,000 on reconditioning. So spending a couple more on the car, a couple hundred more on the car, it'll all balance out. That's why I stretched on the car. Or I'll say, well, I don't want to lose that car to that person. The guys you're bidding against. You've seen their faces in those lanes, or you see those numbers pop online pretty consistently. You don't want to lose that car, right? You're losing a customer. We say all kinds of things to make it feel better that all we really did was pay too much. So we tell ourselves all kinds of stuff. That's where adding proxy bidding to your sourcing strategy is critical. It provides the most extreme version of discipline that a buyer can imagine. There's literally no chance you can bid more than your strategy would suggest you could or should on each car. Some of the pushback I hear from dealers is, well, I'm going to miss some cars. And occasionally, absolutely, you will. The real question you should be asking is not if we'll miss a car by $100 or $200, but if that's a bad thing. Is having that type of discipline how you want to make sure that in a world of shrinking margins, that you can ensure that car is going to come in and meet your margin threshold. And proxy bidding is a numbers game. There's no doubt about it. It's got a low success rate. The best dealers around buy about 10% of the cars that they bid. So, you have to make sure that you're working through lists of cars in a very efficient way. That's why I'm going to tell you to partner with your PC to make sure you implement the correct workflow for maximum efficiency. But adding those cars with the right margins can be extremely valuable as you go through it. So, best practice recap for proxy bidding. Again, it allows you to maintain the highest level of price and ultimately margin discipline. Here's a point that we didn't bring up, but it allows you to quickly test what's happening in the market. So if we know that the best dealers in the market are going to get 10% of the cars at best, and we go out and we try it and we get 5% one week, we go out and try it again the next week and we get 10% or 12% or more, well, maybe the market is starting to soften. And the reverse is true as well. If we go from 5% down to 2%, man, the market's getting extremely competitive. Not only do we reevaluate possibly our strategy for buying cars, but then to the cars that we're looking at for trade. So there's a lot of valuable information that can be gleaned from just using proxy bidding. And it's a great way to supplement the current sourcing strategy. You're not going to be able to fill all your needs through proxy bidding most likely, but it can certainly add a few cars a week or month depending on the volume of your store. All right, so real quick, we'll pause again for just a couple of questions and see if we have any.
Well, and I think we're good to move forward.
Fair enough. All right, so best practice number 5 is offers. And I didn't mention offers in the beginning in terms of the way that you go about buying, because I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that a lot of us haven't heard of it or aren't currently using it. And if proxy bidding is kind of the last frontier of a current way to go about buying cars, offers may be kind of a future state of how we think about buying. It's kind of a bonus best practice. So I'm going to show you first, within the Stockwave platform, kind of how it looks. And after we install it, what you can expect to see. So offers as a program is going to go out and scan all your static auctions that have buy it now figures. So, Smart Auction, MB on demand, OBE, dealer block. We're going to look at buy it now numbers. We're going to look at your business plan that you set up and give you cars that, in this case of this C-Class has a $2,600 initial margin. When you click on those cars, we're going to ask you to do a few things. Number one is view it. So we will notify you that these offers are coming in through text, through email, through notifications on the app, probably way too many ways. You'll get pretty tired of seeing those notifications. But if you see a car, we want you to go in and interact with it. And what we're asking you to do is give us feedback. One could be, hey, listen, I love it. I'll take it. I'm going to buy it. That would be the ideal scenario. But you could also tell us, hey, listen, I don't want cars that, in this case, are a stocking grade C+ or less. We're going to collect that data and improve your offers the next time we send you cars. We're going to learn from what you tell us. It's a little bit of machine learning, and we're going to go through, and each time we look at the next available kind of cycle of inventory, we're going to bounce up against the things that you've told us and filter that. And we also have some reporting that goes with offers as well. And it'll show you, number one, the importance of view rate. Interacting with those cars is extremely important. If you don't tell us how we're doing, you may continue to receive the same offers over and over and over again, which would be really frustrating. But you can look at this dealer, and this is an actual dealer. They bought 74 cars over the last 4 months. If you think about, the cheapest wholesaler in town, that's probably, $7,400, if not, 2 or 3 times more, that this dealer has been able to save, in getting units bought that were delivered directly to them through our app. So just to recap, our best practice for offers, it's going to save you a ton of time. You're going to be able to add buys without adding another buyer. And this is a really nice way to supplement that niche inventory, CPO, subprime. You can have separate business plans set up for both of those. So you can have, essentially a digital buyer out there searching those auctions for you, delivering those cars in a buy it now setting, through multiple ways of notifications to you multiple times throughout the day. So in terms of next steps, first thing, obviously, contact your performance consultant that either we have reset it or we've taken some time to just make sure, even if it's been recently, that we're revisiting kind of current climate of what the market's doing, making sure our business plans are competitive and they stack up. Let's go through some inventory modeling exercises with your performance consultant as well. Let's not stop at the strategy page. Let's not stop at what we've stocked and sold at our store alone. Let's look at the rest of the market. Let's get that inventory document and make sure that they do the hard lifting for you and come back and deliver a customized inventory and sales plan for you. And lastly, let's begin implementing some of those best practices that apply to your store. And even if they don't apply with what you're doing today, pick one or two of them that you feel like we need to start stretching what we're doing in our store to make sure we're competitive in each area buying. So with all that, I'm going to say thank you. My information is at the bottom left. Feel free to email, call, text if you have any questions about anything that we've covered today. And for those of you that have a good relationship or maybe lost track of your performance consultant, I'm just going to let you know at the bottom of the app, you have their contact information there as well. So if you don't know who the email address or your mobile number is going to be there, call or text them as well. So I really appreciate you guys just spending so much time with me. It looks like we're pretty much right on time. But I'll pause here again in case anyone has any last thoughts or questions.
It just looked like we did have one question come in. Where can they find the offers tab?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so if you log into your Stockwave platform, there should be a way that I think on the right-hand side, that will allow you to initiate offers. If you don't see it there, contact your performance consultant, and they'll be able to get you set up. There's going to be a few things that we have to review with you, make sure the business plan is currently working, but then we can get that installed pretty quickly. So I appreciate that question.